Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where I talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Season 1, Episode 9 of The Imperfects. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, first and foremost, we had the whole situation where we get flashbacks with Sydney and Sarkov, and just seeing them kind of being casual friends is so weird, just because the Sarkov we've known is such a dick. But once again, I think you can make a parallel. I might have brought this up in earlier the episodes, but there's a parallel between like Tilda and Sarkov, where it's like they kind of lean into almost like this dickish behavior just to kind of cover up some other, like maybe some insecurities, because Sydney's trying to say, hey, like maybe you should ask this guy out on a date, he's obviously flirting with you, but Alex is like, nah, like I'm me, I'm a freak of nature, no one would ever want to date me or whatever. But it's like also the conversation, Sydney's like, right, you're never going to get rid of me, you never actually fire me because I'm the only person that can really deal with all of your BS. And he's like, why do you deal with it? And it's like, she's like, it's because I like you and you're my friend, so you know. And seeing how deep that relationship is, because anytime we've ever really seen it, it's been such a antagonistic relationship, but I think it's because there's so much history there that they do care about each other so much that it's led to, because whatever their falling out exactly was, it led to like issues between them. And I think that's what really sparked, that's why Sydney didn't call him when things were really bad and she was kind of experimenting on herself. The fact is, he got the loan to kind of work on their research from someone who beat the ever-living crap out of him to get the money back plus interest, and now he owed like $250,000, but Sid ended up covering it for him, and he's like, I don't want to use your money. She's like, think of it as investment. It's me investing in you, because she's like, I believe in you. And we kind of talk a little bit about his parents' circumstances. Obviously for him, it's like, my parents died when I was 2, so why would I have any emotional attachment to like the anniversary of their death? And for him, it's like he kind of was grown up in a lab. Obviously, we've seen with another character that was kind of raised in the lab that it does not create the most stable human beings. Am I comparing Alex to a Homelander? No, not in the slightest. But you could see like how obviously it's going to mess you up, which even later on, Abby's like, well, it's a sad story, but it doesn't excuse it. It's like, right, what was done to you, you're basically doing to other people. That there's such a warped side of his brain now, because it's like, right, you do whatever you need to for the science, because the science is maybe for the greater good. But like I said, we still don't fully know what it is that he wants. What do the nanobots, what role do they play in all of this? Why is he so desperate for all of this? What is his end goal? Yes, it's about the advancement of human beings, but it's like, is that what this is about? Is he going to like, right, find the perfect like genetic thing and widespread it amongst humans to, once again, not give them immortality, but give them more adaptability for the changing and kind of basically saving the human race in the long run? But it feels like it has to be something even more personal on that front. Because whatever it is, Sydney knows, and she's covering up whatever the hell it is, I think, in the long run. Because because later on, Isabel's like, oh, are you trying to save our lives or keep Sarkov's secret? And she's like, I'm hoping to do both. And I'm like, so what is it? Because his mitochondria ends up being like the main focus of this. Which I think it is interesting that the end result was his own DNA. He's so narcissistic. I mean, I guess it's like, right, maybe he figured, I don't know if he's so narcissistic, like, well, I'm so great and amazing, so let my mitochondria be kind of like the centerfold of like what's missing in this, like this scientific stew. Or is it just kind of like, right, I didn't have anyone else to rely on, so why not, just kind of almost experiment on myself, very much like Sydney, and just kind of use myself as kind of a basis to some extent. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I'm so curious, like, what it is, and like I said, what Sydney's like covering up for him, what she's hiding. Sadly, the division of the group like happens even further now, because Abby wants to, continue the work to try and find out how to cure them, but Wanda's like, no, we got to go after Sarkov, because it's like, right, we were possessed by those nanobots. I'm not about to let that happen to my niece or anyone else. You saw, I felt how terrible that was. But she's like, right, we can find the cure without Sarkov. Because she's like, you're just using it as an excuse to go after Tilda. And he's like, that's not the case. And she's like, well, have fun playing detective. He's like, have fun playing mad scientist. She's like, it's rogue scientist. And seeing like that, how far that group is kind of divided. And then he ends up working with Owen. Because it's like, right, he had no one else he could really turn to in this situation. So, try to find Sarkov, ended up coming across an arms deal, like, selling guns and stuff. Owen got shot, but the impregnable element kind of worked out in his favor. It's like, right, Owen is all about the superheroing, and it's like, right, we got to stop these bad guys. But for Juan, is like, that doesn't matter right now. Finding Sarkov is the most important thing, because it's also like, it's not even 100% about stopping him. He even admits later on, it is also, he's using it all as an excuse to go after Tilda, any excuse to go, and he's kind of getting blinded by that. Both him and Abby are blinded by kind of what they want so much that it's like, yeah, like some very bad guys are in front of you. And for Owen, it's like, oh, luckily I got you from on top of those guys before you could kill them. We even called an ambulance. So it's like, right, the superhero thing. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna help. I mean, we don't have to kill people, but at the very least, we stop them from doing what they were doing. But Juan's like, nothing else matters. And for Owen, it's like, I remember you. Like, we used to talk about comic books all the time about, like, what if we had powers from Sarkov's experiments and what we would do with them. Like, it's not about what powers you got. It's about how you used to help people. And for him, it just, and Juan was like, I don't remember that. He's like, it's pretty obvious. That is like, right, you're so caught up in what you're wanting. You're not even, because, I mean, what's been the driving force behind a lot of their actions have all been about, okay, let's find the road to us getting cured. It's never really been, it's not even necessarily they've acted, in the grand scheme of things, I'm like, have they technically helped? I guess Hannah's the closest thing, but even that it's like, have you really, really done anything to really help people? I mean, they're not interested in really being superheroes. Everything they've done over the course of the show is to kind of cure themselves, which it's kind of a little bit of a selfishness, but it's like they didn't set out to be heroes. Like we became monsters and we want our normal lives back just so we can be with the people we care about. So at the same time this is happening, Alejandro calls him up. It's like, yo, Paloma's party, you're going to be there, right? Like what's more important than your niece's birthday? And he kind of gets guilted into it because he wants to be there because he doesn't want to miss out on time with his family because so much time was already lost. But he's like, right, I've got so much on my shoulders already, and he can't really tell his brother. He doesn't want to tell his brother the truth. He could show him at any point in time, but he doesn't want, because he knows that if he does, maybe it'll scare his brother and ostracize him even more. So it's like, right, if I could get cured, then it's all going to be okay. But the moment he Tilda calls about the nanobots. Then you have Abby saying like she found a cure, and it's like it's all happening at once. And he wants to go back to Seattle, but his brother's like, "Yeah, what's more important? Be here." It's like maybe if he explained things, it would help. But he's also like, "You won't believe me without me." Because once again, I don't want to transform in front of you because that will like scare the hell out of you, and I can't take time to explain it either because you won't believe me. And then having a clown, someone from because at first when the person in a clown outfit showed up, which I'm like, that's creepy as hell. It's like, it's reasons like that people don't like clowns. I almost was wondering when Abby was like, oh my God, it really is a clown. I thought you were speaking metaphorically. It's like, I was wondering, I was like, for a second I was like, oh, is she afraid of clowns? Because I know that is a, there's a few characters I am aware of, like, fictional characters. I'm sure it's a real fear in real life, but also, like, I know, like, a few fictional characters that have a fear of clowns, and I thought that's what that was about to be, but it's like, oh no, I legitimately thought you were saying metaphorically. I didn't know it was actually going to be literally a clown. It is kind of thing of like, really? You showed up at a birthday party as a clown? I mean, I guess it's the easiest way for a stranger to get in there, because it's like, they did abandon the whole, like, flashing a badge thing, because it's like, yeah, that didn't necessarily work out last time. It's kind of like back in the day, like, Sponson and, Bidding talked about that couple episodes back. What was that, episode 4 or 5? So it's like, yeah, that doesn't work like it used to. So I guess they had to find another way to infiltrate. And so Juan is like, okay, you want to, talk about ruining my niece's birthday with him. I got this. And I felt bad for that. That felt like something, I mean, and there's almost a parallel of like, right, here's a clown with his arm ripped off in a balloon. I don't know if they were going for the reference, but it kind of felt like, oh, it's almost a little play, I would assume, on it. You know, it's like, right, Georgie getting his arm ripped off, the whole balloon motif with Pennywise, and, you know, Pennywise being disguised as a clown, this guy disguising himself as, it's like, there's layers to it. Like, I don't know if that was done on purpose, but I feel like you could read too much into it and see it, but it's just like, poor guy, he's just like, well, not poor guy, he's a terrible person, but he's crawling away, one hand, arm going, blood splurting, and then like, Juan grabbing him back. It's like, yeah, everyone getting blindsided by the whole Chupacabra situation, so. But Juan disposing of the body and leaving, but his brother's like, yeah, if you leave, don't leave again. Like, why is it that you always keep choosing leaving over being with your family? He's like, I want to be here. He's like, then stay here. Because if you leave, don't ever come back. And it's just like, but I have to go. And he's losing his opportunity to be with his family because of it. He has to do this because there's just so much riding on this. He's like, I can't stay here and be around you. Like, everything's kind of going down and it can't wait. Also, the longer I stay like this, the less I could be around you anyway. Like, I can't trust myself with the Chupacabra. So it's like, I have to get cured. And it's like, in the process to get cured, you're going to end up losing your family. And, you know, so it's like a lose-lose situation for him, sadly. Like I said, like maybe he could tell. I mean, his niece handled it well, but I don't know how well his brother and his wife, and especially with all the people showing up for the party, how they would handle it. I mean, because Alejandro would probably freak out, just be like, he'd probably, you know, because I think also probably Juan is afraid, like, right, your niece is so accepting of you, but she's got the childlike wonderment element to it, just like you, like, have the whole superhero thing, you know, especially when you go about your comics and everything. Well, your brother might actually look at you like a monster, and you probably are scared of, like, what if he does, and especially considering Alejandro's the only family he's got. Well, him and Paloma are, like, the only, and, well, obviously, Alejandro's wife, like, they're the only family he has left in this world, so. At the same time, this is all going down. Abby's trying her best to work on the cure until she finds out, like, oh, you know, she gets a call from her brother saying that their mom found a lump, and their mom didn't want to say anything because she's like, right, you know how mom is. She likes to keep a lot of this to herself and probably doesn't want to bother Abby while she's away at school. And now it's a situation of Abby needs to escalate things even further because it's like, I need to find a cure fast because I need to cure myself so I can be around my mom. Like, yes, she could spritz herself, but it's still too dangerous. Like if she gets too worked up, or like because she would have to apply it like every so often. It's like she just doesn't want to put herself in that position, because it's like, right, even if I go see my family and they're worried and I'm worried about them, but if I get around them and I don't have my situation under control, like, it's going to ruin things between me and my family. Like when my mom starts lusting after me, and then like it's like, oh, that's creepy, that's messed up, and I'll never be able to look at her the same way, especially because I need to be around her right now if she's going through something, if it's maybe cancer or something, because a lump was found. So that's what motivated her even more. So she had no one to turn to because Juan wasn't around. So she ended up turning to Hannah. But the problem is Hannah didn't want to help because it's like, right, every time I turn around, like, you can't promise me I won't get hurt. I end up getting hurt all the time. And then Abby's like rubbing off the, spritz so that she could use her pheromones. And I'm like, yo, you don't want to do that. And she's like, I'm sorry, but the problem is she was in more a mood of her anger was driving her, so she ended up feeling Hannah with anger, and Hannah attacked her. Because it's like, right, this is kind of all your fault. And she's like, Hannah, you're not a monster. She's like, no, I'm not. You are. The fact is, her biggest concern was, hey, I don't want to use my pheromones on the people I care about and stuff like that. That was always a concern for Hannah, being like, oh, you're not using your pheromones on me. And she always made a point not to. And in this moment, because she's so desperate, she did. And it just, the frustration of like, I did that to someone I cared about. I was trying not to. And even that conversation she has with Juan later on, because they both apologize. He's like, right, I was being selfish. I was using the nanobots as an excuse to go after Tilda. And she's like, I tried to pheromone Hannah. And it's like, oh, you kind of take the cake on that one. You kind of, I think you won. She's like, yeah. And she's like, right, I keep making excuses about how I don't want to use my pheromones, but then the moment it comes down to something I want, I end up using the pheromones. It's like, yeah, she's always had her reluctancy about it. That's, once again, that's always been kind of a big thing over the course of the show, but now it's, when it's something you desperately want, you were willing to force someone you care about to help you. It's like, I mean, it's that thing of like, humans, we can be selfish in times when, especially when we're our most desperate. So they're kind of in a tough spot there. And I'm assuming they had to go ahead and bury the clown. I guess they just quickly did that before they went to go find Tilda. But we throw in the whole Burke, Sydney, and Isabel situation. Their transformations are accelerating more and more, and eventually it's going to wear out their body. So it turns out also, apparently Crane did inject her mid-transformation, so that is why they are so off-kilter. Like I said, I still feel like it'll probably be a thing of, I guess you'd have to be one at a time, because I thought like, oh, maybe you had to cure both at the time would be how you would cure Sydney's circumstances, but maybe it's a thing of, no, you need to, you just need to cure one of them. It's because they were mid-transformation. When I didn't realize that was kind of what was happening, at least maybe because it's been a little while since I saw that, what was it, episode 8, so maybe because of that, I'm not quite remembering as well, but now there's Tilda with the whole Alex thing, which doing kind of a little bit of her Daredevil thing of listening to his heartbeat, knowing he's lying, that he's like, right, I'm not too concerned about people not liking me. It's like, okay, you're lying. You do. She's like, it's okay. Like, she's like, I do understand what it's like to, like, yeah, you do care about people. She's, referencing like, oh, she betrayed Juan and Abby for him, but it's like, yeah, like these nanobots, they say they are dangerous, maybe we should listen. And she tested out with the rat, especially when she was listening to his heartbeat at one point in time. He's like, these are not dangerous. It's like, no, Alex knows that they're dangerous, but he's still choosing to do it anyway. And Tilda's like, well, shit. So he is aware of this. So like, I am helping him do something he knows is dangerous. So she tests out the nanobots. They possess a rat, and it's like, cool. We're basically going to like enslave a whole bunch of people if we really make a whole bunch of nanobots and kind of release them. But once again, we don't fully know why he's doing what he's doing. And Juan tried to tell Tilda, like, right, we can be normal again. And for Tilda, it's like, PJ was my normal. So for her, it's like, what's the point of going back to being, once again, what's the point of being normal? Because he was her one part of her motivation to be normal. And it's just, I don't even know if music will mean the same to her anymore after everything. Because there was that interesting line between Juan and Abby, too, where it's like, hey, do you think we'll ever be human again? She's like, on the outside, I mean, from a genetic standpoint, sure. But after everything we've done, could we ever? And Juan's like, yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's like, even if they get cured, it's like they will always be changed because of everything that they've done, So, and what they've kind of been forced to do, like all the craziness over the course of this show. So, that is definitely going to be interesting. But I'm curious. I'm curious about the whole Isabel thing because, well, she is trying to kill Alex, and I guess it's like she's still driven by like her revenge of like, I'm not trying to help him, I'm trying to stop him. Well, because I don't know, because she knocked out Juan and Abby, and then she had a gun and she was pointing it at Alex, and it's like, right, I can help you. Like, Sydney found out the answers, and she's just been lying to you about, like, what you need and all this. Like, she's known for a while, so I'm like, but what is it she's hiding? I don't get it. Is he pulling, if you call it with Harley Quinn this season, let's just say, is he pulling, like, it can't be he's trying to pull a, he's not trying to pull a Bruce Wayne is what I was thinking of. If you've seen this season of Harley Quinn, you'll get what I'm referencing, especially the later parts of the season. But he always makes it seem like death doesn't mean anything to him. Well, I mean, he is trying to stop death, sure, but he doesn't want to stop it. But he doesn't want to like make immortality. He wants to cure death, but not give immortality. So I'm like, that's why I'm like, what are you trying to go for here? That's what just still continues to baffle me in the long run. And he wants to help out Sydney, and I guess like doing what he's doing is going to help Sydney in the long run, but he ends up shooting Tilda in the process and leaving her there to bleed out. So I'm not sure what to fully expect for the next episode, which is the season finale. It's going to be interesting to see how this all wraps up. Maybe finally understand all that Sarkov's going to do, whatever secret is between him and Sydney, like whatever that is. I'm just not quite sure. We'll ultimately just have to wait and see. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. To the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.